This is the Fit Femmes movement. Have you felt overwhelmed with your fitness journey and feel like you just want to give up? Are you a busy female professional or entrepreneur looking for weight loss and self-care solutions that you can squeeze into your hectic schedule? Then you're in the right place. Let's get inspired to make fitness and healthy living improve rather than consume your life. Together, we'll take major strides towards a happier, healthier, even wealthier you. I'm Julia Hickman, your host and coach. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fit Femmes movement. And today I'm joined by Martin Cowart, and we're going to be having a really interesting conversation. I'm really excited about this. We're going to be talking about connecting and embracing our divine feminine. And I love this topic because as an entrepreneur, I see a lot of this harsh, tough, like very masculine energy out there sometimes. And I feel like sometimes we think, and even if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you are just, or even if you're a business professional, a corporate professional, there is that stigma that we really have to be like very masculine and very tough and that's the only way to get results. That's the only way to show up as a leader. And Martin is going to share with us a different way. So Martin, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do. And then if you want to dive into talking to us about embracing that feminine energy that I know so many of us could really use some help with.
Oh my God, I am on fire with this topic. It is it is the core of what I coach and teach. First of all, I am a spiritual teacher and a prosperity mindset coach working primarily with gay, bi, and transgender men. I do work with women sometimes, but there's a reason for that because I do shadow work and I really understand the interior landscape of men much better than I understand that of women. Because I'm not a woman, I'm a man, but I'm a gay man. And this is what I've discovered to be true. As gay boys, as we don't know what gay is when we're little boys, we just know we're different. We try our best to fit in with the normal boys. But you know what? We don't really have some of the same characteristics as what we might call, we're not maybe as interested, some of us are, and I don't mean to be characteristic, but we tend to come more equipped with some of those divine feminine characteristics. We like to collaborate versus compete. We would rather create a win. We would rather find ways to make friends, to be part of something, we're not afraid of being vulnerable. We've had to learn to be vulnerable. So all of those more feminine characteristics we were told are wrong and to get rid of them. And so we let them go in order to fit in. And we also, as we get into our business world, we want to compete in that straight world. And we've always got this sort of underlying feeling that we're not quite as good as the straight guys. We kind of carry forward with us that same feeling we had when we were little boys. We were not like as good as the guys that could play football, for example, because those were the ones that were the most popular and we wanted to be popular like they did. So we would try to do whatever we could to look and act like the quote unquote normal boys. All right. And then when we get into our business world, we say, okay, well, here's the guys that are successful. And they're all these straight macho guy types. I'm going to tell you, this is all for the straight macho guys too, because I'll tell you something. When you can lean into those divine feminine principles, those characteristics of collaboration, where it's a we attitude instead of a competitive, I got to win every time, you're going to find big results in your business too. But I'm also going to talk right now about how I use it in coaching with gay, bi, and trans men.
Yes.
Because what I've discovered for myself and for people, when we lean into those characteristics, when we combine that ability to be empathetic, to show compassion, to lead with those characteristics, to lead with an idea, we want to collaborate. We want to create a win-win-win for everybody. Those are what I would call those feminine characteristics of collaboration. When we combine that with an exterior of masculinity, it's powerful and it changes people's lives. People wake up, people pay attention because what they see now in the world is they see a very courageous gay man who's willing to just be themselves authentically. And that's what people want. They want to connect with people they can entrust and work with people that they can know, like, and trust, who are being authentically themselves. So what I do in my coaching practice is I teach men to say, I want you to let go of all those old stories that you got to look and act like those guys and tap into your queer superpowers. I want you to feel into those things that feel more natural to you as a gay, trans, or bisexual man that are yours, that people told you they were wrong. Maybe it's that kind of tingling feeling you have about being attracted to another man. That's your creative genius. That's your creative powers. That's where your queer superpowers hang out. So don't put those away. Lean into those feelings. And those feelings are typically feelings of, I want to nurture. I want to be vulnerable. I want to collaborate. I want to create winning attitudes. I want to lead with a place of empathy and compassion. And people want to follow people like that. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter whether you're gay or straight. So I'm going to tell you this. Yes. If you're a man, these characteristics are not necessarily gender specific. It's about the characters we all have. And I will tell you, those leaders out there in the world who are not gay, who are more in the straight world, who are leading with these feminine powers, are more powerful leaders. That's what makes a leader what I call a real team leader, a leader who can lead champions, people who can create psychological safety inside their environments for people to feel unafraid to be themselves, speak out. Those characteristics are what give people the courage to be themselves too. Because if you can be authentic, and if you're whether you're straight or you're gay, and if you can lead into both of those characteristics comfortably, you'll be a more powerful leader, and you'll be a more powerful entrepreneur. And it's a lot more fun because you're not trying to be somebody else. As you know, I call my divine intuition Joy the Wise Woman, because I have learned over the years that the more I lean into that divine feminine in myself, the more I can accomplish and the more I can create, because those are where my superpowers lie.
I love that, Martin. So let me backtrack a little bit here to the listeners, so I make sure that they understand. So Martin has sort of like this, can we call it a persona, Martin? Like he calls his feminine, persona. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, his feminine self, Joy. And not only do I love the name Joy, because I mean, who doesn't love joy? But it's like acknowledging that she is there, like giving her power and like embracing it and really making that a part of who you are. And like you said, all this, you work with gay and bisexual and trans men, but it doesn't have to apply to just, No. It's just to everybody.
Everybody, men, women, it doesn't matter what your gender is. I just happen to, because that seems to be a big stumbling block for a lot of my clients, because they're afraid of that, because they were bullied for that. They were told they were sissies, or they were made fun of. And so they're afraid of those powers, but that's where your powers are.
Exactly. And this could be just like for a woman, like maybe a soft-spoken woman who feels like, I'll never be able to be like so-and-so because she is so strong and this and that. And I'll never be able to be like her because she comes across so powerful and, all this and all that. And in reality,
I think that we are. Absolutely. And this is what I want to say. This is why I think women now are taking the lead in this movement of being themselves, being being feminine, being beautiful, being attractive, and leaning into those incredibly powerful feminine aspects, characteristics of themselves, the divine feminine. And our coach, Kelly Roach, is a wonderful example of that. She's beautiful. She's stunning. She wears gorgeous, no apologies. And yet she is powerful. She's empathetic. She's compassionate. She's teaching people how to be vulnerable, to be open, to be real, powerful women by tapping into those divine feminine characters that they come born with. We all come born with them. But men, particularly gay men, because we were bullied about them, have a tendency to run away from them because we were taught by our culture that those are not going to get us anywhere. But the opposite is actually true. Those are exactly what's going to get us where we want to go.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, Martin, is the work that you're doing now due to some of the things that you're experiencing in your life? So, meaning, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started with the coaching work that you
absolutely. I was a top producer in a Fortune 100 wealth management firm of a beautiful office on Park Avenue. And I never really felt like I fit in, quite frankly, because all the top producers were all these big fancy, even though I had a big fancy office and I was a top producer, but I felt like an imposter because the people who made the most money were these sort of macho men, straight men. Yeah. And when Trump was elected president, and I don't have nothing about politics, but for a gay man, with someone that's that anti-gay gets to be elected to the president, it's friggin' scary. So what happened is I realized I was in a very toxic place because I was with a lot of people who just they hired me and they paid me a lot of money to come there. But when my business began to fail because I was in so much fear that they really weren't that interested in me. And they wanted me, so they were really more interested in my market share. But what I was doing is I was failing. Finally, I began to fail because I was trying to lead with the same things they were leading, with some sort of more masculine, competitive, me type of attitude. And it just wasn't working, finally. So, and when my business was failing, the more and more I tried to be like them. Because I thought they're the ones that are successful. So I had to let that all go and surrender it all. And then when I did, that's when I discovered Joy the Wise Woman. Because in the middle of all that crisis, and I was having a big pity party here on my sofa one day because I was feeling my business had really had gone from the top producer to the edge of bankruptcy like that. Because I had friends saying, you could go bankrupt in a second, Martin, and you would qualify. But I was having a pity party one day, and they had repossessed my car, my BMW, which was embarrassing. But I got it back. That was embarrassing too. And I'm having this big pity party one day, feeling all sorry for myself. And I called my spiritual teacher and I said, she said, well, number one, I don't suggest you declare bankruptcy because it's not going to solve the problem. It might make you feel a little better, but it's not going to, you got to do this. You got to get on your hands and knees. You got to pray. You got to surrender this to God, the divine. And I did what she did because I said, so I got on my knees and I said, God, I have made a mess of my life. I am a wealth manager and I'm failing miserably. I'm ashamed. But I know you love me and I know you care for me and I know you want me to feel joy again. So I need you to help me solve this problem. And do you know what happened? As soon as I totally surrendered it, all of a sudden I got filled with this sense of peace and joy and comfort and assurance. And this voice came up, this still small voice opened up and said, Martin, all this stuff that you worry about matters. Nothing matters that you worry about. The only thing you have to do for the rest of your life is show up with love and gratitude, two pretty feminine characteristics, if you will. And I will do the rest. I, Joy, will do the rest. And I felt so much joy. That's when I began to call her Joy the Wise Woman. And that's when I decided I wasn't really here on this planet to help people build financial plans, but to help them to get rid of this, to eradicate this emotional attachment to money. Because what I really know to be true for most people, and particularly true for gay men, is that if we're having a struggle with money, it's a worthiness issue. So when Joy came up into my life and said, you are worthy, you are loved, you are powerful just the way you are. You don't need to change a thing. All you got to do is show up with love and acceptance for life and for yourself. And I, with the divine, who I call now Joy the Wise Woman, will guide you and take you the rest of it. Because this is what I also know to be true. We think we're doing stuff. I don't care what your gender is, you, me, we think we're the doers. We're not doing anything. All we're doing is getting out of the way or getting in the way of the future. If we get out of the way and say yes to the divine and no to that rational thinking mind that's telling us you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, it's not what you do, it's who you be. Yeah. Be that divine feminine and masculine entity, that divine presence that wants to make a difference in the world, that wants to change the world, that has compassion, empathy. And that's what an entrepreneur is anyway. It's someone that really has a calling, a pull to go out and do something that's going to make the world better for everyone. So you need to link, and those are the characteristics of the divine feminine. They're nurturing, they're culturing. It is exactly what we all need. I don't care what your gender is, if you want to really make an impact on the world and live a life of significance.
I don't know if you guys can hear me clapping, but yes, so much yes. I mean, so perfectly said, and so resonates with me and how I think and how I choose to live my life. And that's so wonderful, Martin, that you were able to really like listen to that inner voice, that inner knowing, tune into it, and then start taking action from there. It's so powerful when I feel like sometimes we can ask for help, and then we sort of get this message, but then we still don't do anything about it. So being able to actually listen to that and then take action from it and build something from it, that's amazing. That's really amazing.
Yeah, the most recent thing where I really put that to action was when I got a call to go help some queer brothers and sisters of mine in Africa who are living in a terrible situation in Kenya. And I went on a calling from a client of mine who I'd given a scholarship. His name is Abba Henry, and he's a brilliant, loving gay man, Ugandan man who was living at the time in a refugee camp with very little resources and just really living in a horrible situation. And I had this calling to go deliver a cell phone. And that was my divine intuition. You go and you offer him a scholarship, and number two, you go meet him and you find out how big this problem is from the African man's perspective, particularly the gay African man's perspective. So I did it. And of course, my rational thinking mind, the more masculine, I would say, "Oh, that's ridiculous. Don't waste your time. How are you going to go that?" I said no to the rational thinking mind. I said yes to the heart, and I went. And now I'm in this project with him. He's my business partner and my virtual, and I have never had more fun. I've never been more successful and done more for people and made a bigger difference in the impact than I've made in the last 4 months in my life. And I'm 67 years old. And I finally got here. It was all because I said no to that old voice of you got to fit in, you got to do this, you got to do that, and said yes to the unknown, yes to the adventure, yes to God, yes to Joy the Wise Woman.
I love that so much. Thank you so much, Martin, for sharing your story and sharing all these wonderful things that you are doing for people in Africa, the gay, bisexual, and trans men of Africa, and women too. I think some women too, right? I
work with lesbians in Africa.
Yeah,
that's a different program, really, but I include everybody in the queer spectrum in my Africa. I'm not going to leave the lesbians by themselves. Don't worry.
Yes, that's wonderful. Well, if anyone wants to connect with you, learn more about what you're doing, either helping people over in Africa or in your coaching worlds, where can they go?
Very simple. Martin Cowart on Facebook. Just go to Martin Cowart, ask me to be your friend. Send me a direct message and say you heard me on this podcast and you liked what I had to say, and I'll get right back to you. Amazing.
Love it. Keep it simple, keep it memorable, and there you go. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode. If you enjoyed it, I would love to hear what you thought. And leave us a comment on iTunes or connect with us on Facebook or Instagram and let us know what you thought. Martin, thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for letting me share this great stuff with you. I love it. This is my wheelhouse. I've had a ball. I always have a good time with you, but this was really special. So thank you for giving me a chance.
Thanks, Martin.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Femmes movement. I would love to hear your thoughts on the podcast. So please leave us a review. And sharing is caring. If you know someone who may benefit from this episode, please share it with them. We need more women up-leveling to their highest selves with grace, courage, and ease. If you'd like to connect with me more and have access to free live trainings and join a community of hundreds of other amazing women, then join my free Facebook group, the Fit Femmes Tribe.